On today's show, we're going to dip into a Bleacher Report article as they predicted a blockbuster trade between your Green Bay Packers and an edge rusher who we've actually talked a lot about on the show. Welcome into the Packers Report, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Joey Petersen. Very delighted to be entertaining you on this fine Friday. And what's going to make my Friday even better is if you guys help me out and hit that subscribe button, okay? Today, our Bears channel, Bears Now, they got 47 subs on their video. This video, as we currently record it, because it is not on the internet yet, it has 0 subs from it. And I need you guys to change that. If you guys hate the Chicago Bears, if you love the Green Bay Packers, that's 2 great reasons to hit that sub button. You want a third? Oh, wait, it's 100% free. Lock us in for daily Packers content. And do it today so that way we can pass Bears Now for today's sub battle. Alrighty, today's show, Bleacher Report put out an article, some early bold predictions, not for the offseason, but actually for the trade deadline, which happens in early November. I know we're a little bit early on this, but they linked us to a name we've talked about a lot because Bleacher Report's prediction, of course, was Packers acquire edge rusher Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals, a move that I have been pining for it seems like months, and yes, that is plural at this point. And with his current contract situation, it seems like it's something that could definitely happen. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say. Hendrickson could ultimately land a long-term extension with Cincinnati, but the reigning NFL sack leader does seem serious about his current contract stalemate. The most realistic scenario involves several NFC pass rush needy teams, contenders, pursuing, as Cincinnati would probably want to avoid dealing him within the conference. It works out well that the Commanders, Packers, and Lions are probably the teams that best fit the need profile here. The Packers have more of a need here than the Lions and more cap room than the Commanders. Ergo, they win these Trey Hendrickson sweepstakes. Before I break down the move and talk a little bit more about it, I want you guys to be honest with me. What do you think the percent chance is that the Packers trade for Trey Hendrickson? I know that says yes or no there. That is on my bad. Give me a percentage, 1 to 100, in the comment section down below. I need you guys to stay tuned with me on today's show because coming up later after we talk Hendrickson, I'm going to break down my top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. That's coming a little bit later. Make sure you guys stick with me when we get to that. But before that, I got to be honest. With Trey Hendrickson, if he is dealt, I feel like it's going to be before the season because I feel like I feel like Cincinnati and himself, they're not going to really let this contract holdout, in my opinion, go really deep into the year. I don't even think they're going to let it go into the year at all. I think it's more likely that he signs with Cincinnati than if he sits out into the trade deadline and then they deal him then. The good thing is, though, is that they're still having those contract disputes, which still keeps the door cracked open, of course, for your Green Bay Packers. Pat McAfee tweeted this out. The Bengals and Trey Hendrickson are talking again, but they're not any further along. I think there's a disagreement over value, and there's also a disagreement over the length of the deal. ... Here's the big one. I think the Bengals would like it to be a 1-year deal. A 1-year deal? Are you kidding me, Cincinnati? How much cheaper can you possibly get? From what you're doing with Shamar Stewart to now treating a guy who's gotten 35 sacks in the last 2 seasons. And I get it. He's getting up there in age. He's not getting any younger. But a 1-year deal for a guy who is the pinnacle of your defense. He is the only defensive talent you have on your roster. The only elite defensive player you have on your roster. Led the NFL in sacks last year. And you want to treat this guy by just saying, you know what, we'll give you that money you want, but we're not going to do it any longer than a 1-year deal. That's absolutely crazy. Now, the good news coming from that, if you're a Packers fan, which I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you are, this doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon. Okay, this feels like after this most recent update, that this is going to go on a little bit longer, which is different than how we felt earlier this week. We talked about this trade possibility on Monday because Jeremy Fowler updated us on Sunday and said the Bengals and all pro defensive end, Trey Hendrickson, have resumed contract talks. That was a brand new update. And from that point, I thought, man, this probably is going to get resolved pretty soon. But then the Pat McAfee show tweets out, what was that, Moose, just yesterday? Just yesterday, that they want to sign to a 1-year deal. And the crux of this all is, like, we could say all that we want about how this doesn't necessarily, like, make sense for Trey Hendrickson to want to stay in Cincinnati when he could go get paid better somewhere else. But it also just doesn't make sense, really, for Cincinnati to pay Trey Hendrickson, because they're already handcuffed enough with the deals that they've made with their offensive players. Just look at the cash due in 2025. Joe Burrow, $35.2 million. Jamar Chase, $19.3 million. T. Higgins, even more than Joe Burrow, $35.9 million. They made a massive mistake, in my opinion, in extending T. Higgins. And then you look at the highest paid edge rushers, and you see Danielle Hunter right there at second. Now, I don't think Trey Hendrickson's going to demand $40 million a year. I think he knows it's probably unrealistic to get paid as much as Myles Garrett, just because Myles Garrett tends to do a little bit more in the run game. But I think he's going to want second. I think he's going to want $36 million a year. And am I crazy to say that's fair for him to want that? He said it before. It's not my fault that the position I play gets paid a lot of money. Speaking of money, Green Bay, they got around $36 million in cap space, 8th in the NFL. Now, that's honestly kind of convenient. I mean, I know it, like, all their cap space wouldn't go to him, but, like, he's going to want probably 36. They have just about 36. So they got the money to pay him. That's the long and short of it, okay? Now, of course, you'd have to acquire him. You couldn't just go out and say, hey, we're going to pay you $36 million, come play for us. No. You have to trade for him because he's still under contract with Cincinnati. Here's my trade idea. Packers receive Trey Hendrickson. Bengals receive a 2026 third and a 2026 fourth. I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, Joey, there's no way he's not going for a first or a second. And I disagree with you. Maybe a second and a fifth, but there's no chance that Cincinnati's going to be expecting anything from a first, because whichever team takes him on will have to pay him. So I think you could get away with giving a third and a fourth. And I would do that in a heartbeat. You've got a window of time right now where you could win a Super Bowl. Okay? That window's not going to last super long. Trey Hendrickson widens that window a little bit and increases your chances. And getting him for a third or fourth, do you think you could get a third or fourth round pick that could come in here and get 17 and a half sacks? Not to quote, Miss Incredible, but I don't think so. You guys let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this trade idea. Would you accept it or would you decline it? If you would accept it, go ahead and give me an A for accept. And if you're saying no chance, get that out of my face, go ahead and give me a D for decline. Alrighty, up next, we got my top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. Everybody hold on to your horses. It's June. I know everybody's going to love these rankings. You're all going to have your own opinions. Feel free to share them in the comment section down below. This is my list. I'm sticking with it. Coming in at number 5, we have Mr. Brock Purdy. I still am a believer in Brock Purdy, okay? I know that he's proved at times he's better when there's more talent around him, but I think that he gets he's just a talent merchant. I think that's a little bit unfair of criticism. What quarterbacks aren't better when they have a ton of talent surrounding them? That's kind of the position. That's kind of how football works. You surround a good quarterback with good players, they're going to put up good numbers. You take those good players away, they're not going to put up as good of numbers. That's the sport. That's what we watch. That's what this is, okay? And so I still think Brock Purdy's a really good talent. I think his accuracy is really, really impressive. His ability to get out of the pocket, extend plays with his legs. I think he's way more athletic than people think he is. And he comes in at number 5 on my list. Now to number 4. I got Jordan Love, okay? I think Jordan Love is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. And I think that a lot of people probably don't think that because of last year and the quote-unquote dip that he took from 2023 to 2024. Well, I think people don't realize that this wide receiver room had more drops than any other wide receiver room in the National Football League. I think people don't realize the fact that he freaking got injured, an MCL injury, week 1 of the season, and went on to play, 14 games last year? He was never fully healthy, and he still was able to put up almost 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns. Now, if he takes a lateral move this year, I'm going to drop him down in this list a little bit, but I'm still a believer in Jordan Love, and I expect a huge bounce back from him in 2025. Now on to number 3, it's Jalen Hurts. And believe me, it really pains me to say this because I've never been a strong believer in Jalen Hurts. For all of his time in the National Football League, I would have put him out of the top 5, okay? But he just won a Super Bowl. And I feel like you can't leave him out of the top 3. And I get it. He has Saquon Barkley. He had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They had a really good defense as well. He's got a great team. But do you know how many good teams have lost in the postseason because of bad quarterback play? A ton of them have, okay? Some of those throws he made in the playoff run, some of the throws he made in the Super Bowl, he was really good when it mattered most. I just can't leave the Super Bowl winning quarterback outside of the top 3 on this list, especially for the entirety of that postseason. He played really, really good football. Let's go to number 2. I got Matthew Stafford at number 2, okay? And I'm still looking at Stafford as one of those guys that even at his age can sling it better than almost anybody else in the league, okay? And I'm also looking at this from the perspective of games on the line. You need one drive. You got to pick a quarterback in the NFC. You're telling me that Matthew Stafford isn't going to be one of those top 2 selections? He's still got that clutch gene. You know, he's done so much for Los Angeles. He got out of the situation in Detroit, which is everybody's dream who's ever played in Detroit, is to get out of that situation. Immediately won the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. He struggled with some health things, but guys, Matthew Stafford, I still think, is a top 5, top 2 quarterback when you look at the NFC. Now, if you're looking at the NFL as a whole, he goes down that list just because of all the good quarterbacks in the AFC with Burrow, Jackson, Mahomes, Allen. But if we're talking NFC, I still got him at number 2. And number 1 might ruffle some feathers. I'm going to give it to last year's Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Okay? And I know I hear a big from producer Moose behind the camera or behind the producer computer. But I also am taking it a little bit of, if you had to choose a quarterback to start a franchise with, Jaden Daniels probably going to be that selection if you had to choose from the side of the NFC. He did what no rookie quarterbacks do. He won in the postseason. He took his team to an NFC championship game. If you look at that roster that Washington had, guys, it's not a good roster. Their offensive line is mid. Their wide receiver room outside of Terry McLaurin is probably bottom 5 in the National Football League last year. Their running backs are Brian Robinson Jr. and an 87-year-old Austin Eckler. And he took them to the NFC Championship game. Their secondary, abysmal. He was able to do some of the most incredible things. He's clutch. He played his best football when it mattered most. The bright lights don't scare him at all. He's dynamic with his legs. He's accurate with the football. He's got all the tools to be a wonderful pro for a very, very long time. And you got to see it just in year 1. All righty, that's my top 5. What say you guys? Who's the best quarterback in the NFC? You let me know in the comments section down below. Give me your answer. You heard my best. Now I want to hear yours. And as always, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We do this thing every single day, only Packers, for free. Help us beat the Bears. Hit that subscribe button.